Zara Velthani stood at the observation deck of Research Station Kepler 442b, watching the distant stars through the thick glass. Her pale blue skin shimmered slightly under the artificial lights, and her large silver eyes reflected the endless space beyond. She was beautiful by any standard in the galaxy. But beauty meant nothing when you were Broken Dot, at least. That's what everyone told her. The door behind her hissed open, and she didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Her empathic abilities told her everything. Fear, disgust, and pity rolled off Dr. Kent like waves from a stormy ocean. The Andromedan scientist had been avoiding her for weeks. "Zara," he said, his voice tight. "The council wants to see you." She turned slowly, her expression calm despite the storm of emotions she felt from him. "Another rejection?" Kent's forearms shifted nervously. His insect-like features couldn't hide his discomfort. "The Zephyrian delegation has declined your application for courtship." Zara nodded. She had expected this. It was the 5th rejection this year, and the year was only half over. What reason did they give this time? "They said." Kent paused, clearly uncomfortable. "They said your emotional radiation is too strong. It makes their young ones sick." Zara laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Of course it does." She walked past him toward her laboratory. Her footsteps echoed in the empty corridor. Most species avoided the sections where she worked. They said being near her for too long gave them headaches, made them feel strange, or worse, Dot in her lab. Zara looked at the data screens showing her latest research. She was studying human emotional patterns, trying to understand how such a primitive species could survive in situations that would destroy others. Humans fascinated her. They felt things so deeply, yet they kept going. They loved, they lost, they hurt, and still they reached for the stars. Her communication device beeped. Another message from her mother on Caltheria Prime. "Daughter," the hologram said when she activated it, "I heard about the Zephyrians. Perhaps it's time to consider the neural adjustment procedure." Zara closed her eyes. The procedure would fix her broken empathic abilities. It would make her normal. It would also remove the very thing that made her an excellent scientist. Without her enhanced empathy, she couldn't understand other species the way she did. She couldn't feel their pain and help heal it. "I've told you, Mother. I won't change who I am. Then you'll die alone," her mother's image replied coldly. "No male of any worthy species will ever accept a defective mate. You're 127 years old, Zara. You should have been bonded decades ago." The message ended, leaving Zara alone with her thoughts and the quiet hum of her equipment. She walked to her research area, where she kept samples from dozens of species. Each one told a story of evolution, adaptation, and survival. But the human samples were different. They showed something she had never seen before in any species. Humans felt everything as intensely as she did, maybe more. Yet they didn't break. They bent, they adapted, they found ways to keep going. Their emotional range was vast and deep, but somehow it made them stronger, not weaker. Zara pulled up a file on human bonding practices. Unlike other species, humans didn't mate based on genetic compatibility or social status alone. They chose partners based on emotional connection, on love. The concept was alien to most galactic species, who saw emotions as obstacles to logical decision-making. A soft chime indicated someone was requesting entry to her lab. Zara checked her security screen and saw Ambassador Vrex, a high-ranking Caltherian diplomat. She sighed and opened the door. "Zara Velthani," Vrex said as he entered. His tall, elegant form moved with the grace typical of their species, but his emotions were carefully controlled. Still, Zara could feel his annoyance and embarrassment. "Ambassador," she said politely, "I've come to discuss your situation. The rejections are becoming an embarrassment to our people. 5 species have now publicly refused you. This reflects poorly on Caltherian genetics. Zara felt anger flare inside her. My genetics are the same as any Caltherian. The only difference is that my empathic abilities are stronger. Exactly, Rex said. And that strength is seen as a flaw. You feel too much, share too much, experience too much. It makes you unstable in the eyes of potential mates. It also makes me the best xenobiologist in this sector, Zara replied. Your professional achievements are admirable, Rex admitted. But they don't make you suitable for bonding. Perhaps you should consider a life of research and scholarship. Many of our people find fulfillment without mates. A life of isolation, you mean? Rex's emotional signature showed a flicker of sympathy before he controlled it. I'm sorry, Zara, but this is the reality. Your condition makes you unsuitable for the normal life our people expect. After he left, Zara returned to her research. She pulled up more files on human behavior, focusing on their mating rituals and emotional bonds. What she found surprised her. Humans actively sought partners who could understand and share their emotional experiences. They valued empathy, emotional intelligence, and deep connection. In human society, her abilities wouldn't be seen as a flaw. They would be seen as a gift. A new message arrived on her personal communication device. Another potential suitor wanted to meet her. This one was from the Centaurian Republic, a wealthy and powerful species known for their mathematical precision and logical thinking. Zara deleted the message without reading it fully. She already knew how it would end. They would meet, he would experience her emotional radiation, and he would leave. Just like all the others. She looked back at the stars through her lab window. Somewhere out there, humans were building their own civilization, creating bonds based on love and understanding rather than genetic compatibility and social status. They were proving that emotional strength could be just as important as physical or mental strength. For the first time in months, Zara smiled. Maybe she was looking for acceptance in the wrong places. Maybe the answer to her loneliness wasn't in fixing herself to fit their standards, but in finding someone who could appreciate what made her different. She didn't know it yet, but that someone was already on his way to her station. Dr. Marcus Chun stepped off the transport ship and onto Research Station Kepler 442b with a mix of excitement and nervousness. He was the first human xenanthropologist to visit the Outer Rim, and he knew everyone was watching him. The other passengers, all aliens from various species, kept their distance as they walked through the station's corridors. Marcus didn't mind. He was used to being different. As a human in the galactic community, he was considered primitive by most standards. His species had only recently joined the galactic community, and many aliens still saw humans as curious but inferior beings. Station Commander Rex, a tall Caltherian with pale blue skin, greeted him at the main dock. Dr. Chun, Rex said with polite formality. Welcome to Kepler 442b. I trust your journey was comfortable. Thank you, Commander, Marcus replied. I'm honored to be here. Rex's silver eyes studied him carefully. Yes, well, your quarters are prepared. Dr. Kent will show you to the research facilities tomorrow. I assume you'll want to begin your observations immediately. Marcus nodded. He was here to study how different species interacted in space stations and research facilities. His specialty was understanding how cultures adapted when forced to work together in isolated environments. As Rex walked away, Marcus noticed something interesting. The Caltherian's emotional state seemed controlled on the surface, but there were small signs of stress in his posture and voice. Marcus had spent years learning to read micro-expressions and body language across species. It was a skill that had served him well in his research. The next morning, Dr. Kent, an andromedan with 4 arms and insect-like features, showed Marcus around the station. The facilities were impressive, with laboratories dedicated to various scientific pursuits. As they walked through the research sector, Kent kept steering him away from certain areas. "What's down that corridor?" Marcus asked, pointing to a hallway that seemed to branch off toward a series of labs. Kent's forearm shifted nervously. "Oh, that's Dr. Velfani's section. We don't usually. It's specialized work. Xenobiology. Very technical." Marcus was immediately interested. "Xenobiology sounds fascinating. I'd love to meet her." "I'm not sure that's a good idea," Kent said quickly. "Dr. Velfani is... She has a condition that makes her difficult to be around." "What kind of condition?" Kent looked uncomfortable. "She's Caltherian, but her empathic abilities are overly strong. Being near her can be overwhelming for most species." Marcus tilted his head. "Empathic abilities? Like she can sense emotions?" "More than sense," Kent explained. "She can share them, experience them as if they were her own. It's considered a genetic flaw among her people. Very disturbing for those of us who preferred to keep our emotional states private." This only made Marcus more curious. In his studies of human psychology, he had learned that empathy was one of humanity's greatest strengths. The ability to understand and share the emotions of others had helped humans survive and thrive in countless situations. "I'd still like to meet her," Marcus said. Kent sighed. "Very well, but don't say I didn't warn you." They walked down the quiet corridor to a section that felt different from the rest of the station. It was cleaner, more organized, but also somehow lonely. They stopped at a lab with Dr. Zara Velfani's name on the door. Kent pressed the communication button. "Dr. Velfani? There's someone here who wants to meet you." The door opened, and Marcus saw the most beautiful woman he had ever encountered. Her pale blue skin seemed to glow softly, and her large silver eyes were intelligent and kind. But there was something else about her that struck him immediately. He could feel her emotions. It wasn't overwhelming or frightening like Kent had warned. Instead, it felt like standing in warm sunlight after being in a cold room. Her emotions were complex and deep, flowing with the kind of intensity Marcus recognized in great artists and scientists. "Dr. Velfani," Marcus said, extending his hand in the human greeting. "I'm Dr. Marcus Chun. It's a pleasure to meet you." Zara looked at his outstretched hand with surprise, then slowly took it. The moment their skin touched, Marcus felt a wave of shock from her. Not his shock, but hers. "You're not afraid," she said quietly. "Should I be?" Marcus asked with a smile. Behind him, Kent made a small sound of distress. "I'll leave you two to talk. Please be careful, Dr. Chun." After Kent left, Zara studied Marcus with careful attention. "Most beings can't stand to be near me for very long. My empathic abilities make them uncomfortable." "I can feel them," Marcus said honestly. "Your emotions are incredibly strong, but they're not frightening. They're beautiful." Zara's eyes widened. No one had ever called her emotional abilities beautiful before. "Would you like to see my research?" she asked. Marcus nodded eagerly. Zara led him through her laboratory, showing him her work on emotional resilience across different species. Her research was remarkable, detailed, and showed a level of understanding that could only come from someone who truly felt what others experienced. "This is incredible," Marcus said, looking at her data on stress responses. "You've mapped emotional patterns for dozens of species. How do you gather this kind of information?" "I experience it," Zara said simply. "When I'm near someone who is stressed, afraid, or in pain, I feel it too. Most people find this invasive, but it helps me understand how to heal them better." Marcus nodded. "In human medicine, we call that empathy. It's considered one of our most valuable traits." "Humans value empathy?" Zara asked, surprised. "Of course," Marcus replied. "The ability to understand and share the emotions of others is what helps us connect, cooperate, and care for each other. We've always believed that feeling deeply is a strength, not a weakness. Zara stared at him. In all her years, no one had ever suggested that her abilities were a strength. "I've been studying human emotional patterns," she said, pulling up files on her computer. "Your species is fascinating. You feel things as intensely as I do, but you don't seem to be broken by it." Marcus looked at her research data. It was more detailed and accurate than anything human scientists had compiled about their own emotional behaviors. "We're not broken by it because we don't see it as something to be ashamed of," Marcus explained. "We believe emotions make us stronger, more creative, more connected to others." As they worked together reviewing her research, Marcus found himself drawn to Zara's brilliant mind and her unique perspective. She saw patterns that others missed because she could feel what her subjects felt. Her work could revolutionize medicine across the galaxy. But more than that, Marcus found himself drawn to Zara herself. Her depth of feeling, her kindness despite years of rejection, and her determination to use her gifts to help others made her remarkable in his eyes. "Would you like to collaborate on a project?" Marcus asked. "I think your research combined with human psychological studies could create something amazing." Zara looked at him with wonder. "You want to work with me?" "I can't think of anything I'd rather do," Marcus said sincerely. For the first time in years, Zara felt something she had almost forgotten existed: hope. For 3 weeks, Marcus and Zara worked together every day. Their collaboration started as a simple research project, but it quickly became something much deeper. Marcus learned to understand Zara's empathic abilities, while Zara discovered that humans possessed an emotional intelligence that most other species lacked. "Look at this data," Zara said one afternoon, showing Marcus results from their joint study. "When humans face emotional stress, your brain activity actually increases in areas related to problem solving and creativity." Marcus leaned closer to see the screen, and Zara felt his excitement mix with her own. After weeks of working together, she had learned to identify his emotions easily. Unlike other beings who fought against her empathic connection, Marcus welcomed it. "That makes sense," Marcus said. "Humans have always used emotions as fuel for growth. When we're sad, we create art. When we're angry, we fight injustice. When we're afraid, we become protective of those we love." Zara turned to look at him. "Love, that's another thing that makes humans different. You choose mates based on emotional connection rather than genetic compatibility or social status." Marcus nodded. "Love is the foundation of human relationships. We believe that two people who truly understand and care for each other can overcome any challenge together." Their eyes met, and Zara felt something pass between them that was deeper than empathic connection. It was understanding, acceptance, and something else that made her heart race. The moment was interrupted by an urgent announcement over the station's communication system. "All research personnel report to the main conference room immediately. This is a mandatory gathering." Marcus and Zara exchanged worried glances. Mandatory announcements were rare and usually meant trouble. In the conference room, beings from dozens of species gathered. Commander Vrex stood at the front with several other officials from the Galactic Council. His expression was serious. "We have received orders from the Galactic Council," Vrex announced. "Due to concerns about genetic diversity and population growth among member species, there will be a mandatory mate selection conference for all unmated individuals of breeding age." Worried murmurs filled the room. Zara felt fear and anxiety radiating from many of the gathered beings. "The conference will be held in 6 weeks on Centaurus Prime," Vrex continued. "All eligible individuals must attend and make a good faith effort to find a suitable mate. Those who refuse or fail to bond within 1 year will face restrictions on their movement and career opportunities." Zara's blood went cold. A mate selection conference meant public evaluation by potential partners from across the galaxy. Given her history of rejections, she would face humiliation in front of hundreds of beings. After the meeting, Marcus found Zara in her laboratory. She was staring at her research screens, but he could feel her despair without any empathic abilities. "Zara," he said gently. She turned to him, and he saw tears in her silver eyes. "I can't go to that conference, Marcus. You don't understand what it will be like. Every male there will reject me publicly. My condition will be displayed for everyone to see." "What if you weren't alone?" Marcus asked quietly. "What do you mean?" Marcus took a deep breath. He had been thinking about this for weeks, but the announcement made his decision urgent. What if someone was already courting you? Someone who wanted to bond with you? Zara shook her head. "That's impossible. No one wants a defective mate." "I do," Marcus said simply. Zara stared at him in shock. "Marcus, you can't be serious." "I've never been more serious about anything in my life," he replied. "Zara, these past weeks working with you have been the best of my life. You're brilliant, kind, beautiful, and your empathic abilities aren't a flaw. They're a gift that makes you special." "But I'm not human," Zara protested. "And you're not Caltharian. Cross-species bonding between our peoples has never happened." "Maybe it's time for a first," Marcus said. "I've been studying Caltharian bonding customs. I can make a formal courtship request according to your traditions." Zara felt overwhelmed by his emotions. Love, determination, and hope flowed from him in waves that made her dizzy. "Marcus, you don't understand what you're asking. If you court me and we don't bond successfully, it will reflect poorly on humanity. Your people are still new to the galactic community. This could hurt their standing." "Let me worry about that," Marcus said. "Zara, I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I'm asking for permission to court you, to show the galaxy that humans understand the value of emotional connection and empathy." Zara was quiet for a long moment. Her practical mind told her this was a terrible idea. Marcus was risking his career and his species' reputation for her. But her heart, the same emotional depth that made her unsuitable for other species, responded to his offer with hope. "The formal courtship request must be made publicly," she said finally. "According to Caltharian law, you would have to announce your intentions in front of witnesses from both our species." "Then that's what I'll do," Marcus said without hesitation. 2 days later, Marcus stood in the main conference room before an assembly of shocked beings. Commander Vrex looked like he had swallowed something unpleasant, while Dr. Kent's forearms were waving in distress. "Dr. Marcus Chen of Earth," Marcus said formally, following the ancient Caltharian protocols Zara had taught him. "I hereby request the right to court Dr. Zara Valthani of Caltharia Prime, according to the traditional customs of her people." The room erupted in surprised chatter. Rex raised his hand for silence. "Dr. Chan," Rex said carefully, "you understand that this request is unprecedented. Humans are not considered a compatible species for Caltharian bonding." "With respect, Commander," Marcus replied, "compatibility has nothing to do with species, classification, and everything to do with emotional understanding and mutual respect. The courtship traditions require the female to accept or reject the request publicly," Rex continued. "Dr. Valthani, what is your response?" All eyes turned to Zara. Marcus could feel her fear and uncertainty, but also her growing hope. She looked at him, then at the assembled beings who expected her to reject this impossible offer. "I accept Dr. Chan's courtship request," she said clearly. The room exploded in shocked voices. Some beings looked outraged, others curious, and a few seemed impressed by Marcus's boldness. "Very well," Rex said when the noise died down. "According to Caltharian law, you now have the traditional courtship period to determine compatibility. However, given the unusual nature of this arrangement, The Galactic Council will require proof of genuine bonding potential. What kind of proof? Zara asked. Rex's expression became grave. You will both need to undergo the trial of depths before any formal bonding can be approved. Dr. Chun, you should understand that no non-Caltherian has ever survived this trial. Are you prepared for that risk? Marcus looked at Zara, then back at Rex. Commander, I'm prepared for whatever it takes. As the beings filed out of the room, many casting doubtful glances at the unlikely couple, Marcus and Zara stood together. She could feel his determination and love. Emotions so strong they made her believe that maybe, for the first time in her life, she wouldn't have to face rejection. Marcus, she said quietly, the trial of depths is dangerous. It's designed to test whether a mate can handle the full force of Caltherian empathic abilities. Previous non-Caltherian candidates have suffered permanent psychological damage. Marcus took her hand gently. Zara, I've been living with your empathic abilities for weeks now. They don't frighten me. They make me understand you better. But the trial is different, she warned. It's every emotion I've ever felt, all at once, with no barriers between us. Marcus smiled. Then I'll finally get to know all of you. That doesn't sound like a trial to me. That sounds like a privilege. The trial of Depth's chamber was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. Ancient Caltherian symbols covered the walls, glowing with a soft blue light that pulsed in rhythm with some unseen energy. In the center of the room stood two chairs, connected by a complex network of neural interfaces and monitoring equipment. Dr. Velanara, the Caltherian Council's chief psychic examiner, adjusted the equipment with practiced efficiency. Her silver hair and lined face showed centuries of experience conducting these trials. Dr. Chun, she said without looking at him, you still have the opportunity to withdraw your courtship request. The trial of depths has left previous non-Caltherian candidates with permanent mental damage. One Zephyrian male spent the rest of his life in a psychiatric facility. An Andromedan candidate lost the ability to feel any emotions at all. Marcus glanced at Zara, who sat in the observation area with Commander Rex and other officials. Her face was calm, but he could feel her worry and fear for his safety. I understand the risks, Marcus said. I'm ready to proceed. Dr. Velanara finally looked at him directly. You say that now, but you don't understand what you're about to experience. Dr. Volthani's empathic abilities are stronger than any Caltherian born in the last 1,000 years. During the trial, you will experience every emotion she has ever felt, every memory that carries emotional weight, every moment of pain and joy from her entire life. It will happen all at once, with no filters or protection. And if I survive it? Marcus asked. If you survive with your mind intact and still wish to bond with her, the council will approve your marriage, Dr. Velanara replied. But survival is unlikely for a human. Marcus took his place in the chair across from Zara. The neural interfaces felt cold against his temples, and he could hear the quiet hum of monitoring equipment. Zara, he said, looking into her silver eyes, whatever I experience in there, remember that I'm choosing this. I want to know all of you. Zara nodded, but her emotions flooded with guilt and fear. Marcus, I've never shared everything with anyone before. I don't know what it will do to you. Then we'll find out together, he replied with a smile. Dr. Velanara activated the neural interface. The trial begins now. May the spirits protect you both. The world exploded into sensation. Marcus felt himself falling through layers of emotion and memory that belonged to someone else. He experienced Zara's childhood, feeling the confusion and fear of a young girl whose empathic abilities were too strong. He felt her parents' disappointment when they realized their daughter was different. He experienced the loneliness of growing up, isolated from other children who couldn't stand to be near her. The emotions came, Faster now. Marcus felt every rejection Zara had ever faced, every cruel word spoken about her condition, every moment she had questioned whether she was truly broken. The pain was overwhelming, but he didn't fight it. Instead, he tried to understand it, to feel what Zara had felt. He experienced her academic achievements, the joy of discovery in her scientific work, and the satisfaction of helping other beings through her research. He felt her determination to use her abilities for good, despite the cost to herself. Then came the deeper memories. Marcus experienced Zara's first heartbreak when a young Caltharian male she loved rejected her after learning about her condition. He felt her mother's suggestion that she undergo the neural adjustment procedure, and Zara's horror at the thought of losing the very thing that made her who she was. The memories became a torrent. Years of isolation, scientific breakthroughs, moments of hope followed by crushing disappointments. Marcus felt it all, and instead of being overwhelmed, he began to understand the incredible strength it had taken for Zara to survive and thrive, despite everything she had endured. In the observation area, the monitoring equipment showed alarming readings from Marcus's neural activity. His brain was processing emotions and memories at levels that should have caused immediate psychological breakdown. His patterns are unlike anything I've seen, Dr. Velanara said with amazement. He should be unconscious by now, but his mind is adapting to the input. Commander Vrex leaned forward. Adapting how? He's not just receiving the emotions, Dr. Velanara explained. He's processing them, understanding them, accepting them as part of who she is. It's remarkable. Inside the trial space, Marcus was experiencing Zara's most recent memories. He felt her surprise when they first met, her amazement that he wasn't afraid of her abilities, and her growing feelings for him. He experienced her love through her own emotions, and it was more beautiful than anything he had ever felt. But then came something unexpected. As Marcus experienced all of Zara's emotions and memories, she began to experience his. Zara felt Marcus's childhood. Growing up on Earth as a curious boy who was fascinated by differences rather than frightened by them, she experienced his decision to study other cultures and species, driven by a desire to understand and connect with beings unlike himself. She felt his first view of the stars and his determination to reach them. She experienced his arrival at the space station and his immediate fascination with her research. Most importantly, she felt the moment he fell in love with her, not despite her empathic abilities, but because of them. Through Marcus's memories, Zara saw herself as he saw her, not as a broken or defective being, but as someone extraordinarily gifted with the ability to understand and help others. She felt his admiration for her strength, his wonder at her empathic abilities, and his deep love for everything that made her unique. The neural feedback created a loop where both of them experienced their emotions reflected and amplified through each other. Instead of being destructive, it became harmonious. Marcus's human emotional flexibility allowed him to process and accept everything about Zara, while Zara's empathic abilities let her understand the depth of his acceptance and love. In the observation area, the monitoring equipment registered something that had never been seen before in a trial of depths. Instead of one mind being overwhelmed by another, both participants were creating a new pattern of synchronized emotional and mental activity. Impossible, Dr. Velanara whispered. They're not just surviving the trial. They're transcending it. Inside the trial space, Marcus and Zara reached a moment of perfect understanding. Every wall between them had fallen away. Every secret had been shared. Every emotion experienced together. They knew each other completely, and that knowledge brought not fear or rejection, but deeper love and acceptance. The trial ended suddenly, leaving them both gasping as they returned to their separate minds. But something fundamental had changed. They were still connected, still aware of each other's emotional states, But now it felt natural and comforting rather than overwhelming. Dr. Velanara stared at the monitoring equipment in amazement. In 3,000 years of conducting these trials, I have never seen anything like this. Dr. Chun, not only did you survive exposure to Dr. Volfani's complete empathic abilities, but you integrated them into your own consciousness. Marcus looked at Zara, seeing her with new eyes that held the memory of experiencing her entire life. How do you feel? He asked gently. Like I'm not alone anymore, Zara replied, tears streaming down her face. For the first time in my life, someone knows everything about me and still loves me. Commander Rex stepped forward. Dr. Chun, I must admit I doubted your species' emotional capabilities. This trial has proven that humans possess a level of empathic flexibility that we severely underestimated. Dr. Velanara began shutting down the equipment. The Council will need to review these results, but I can state with certainty that you two have achieved a level of bonding compatibility that exceeds even most Caltherian couples. As they left the chamber together, Marcus and Zara walked hand in hand. The trial had changed them both. Marcus now carried a permanent empathic connection to Zara, while she had experienced true acceptance for the first time in her life. What happens now? Marcus asked. Now we find out if the galaxy is ready for the first human Caltherian bonding in history, Zara replied. And we discover what we can accomplish together. 6 months after the Trial of Depths, Marcus and Zara stood before the Galactic Council on Centaurus Prime. The massive assembly hall was filled with representatives from dozens of worlds, all gathered to witness something unprecedented in galactic history. Dr. Marcus Chen of Earth and Dr. Zara Velthani of Caltheria Prime, announced Council Speaker Thane, her voice echoing through the chamber. You have petitioned for formal recognition of your bonding. This is the first interspecies marriage request between your peoples. Marcus squeezed Zara's hand gently. Through their permanent empathic connection, he could feel her nervousness, but also her excitement and hope. The trial had changed them both in ways they were still discovering. The results of your trial of depths have been studied by our finest psychic specialists, Speaker Thane continued. The findings are extraordinary. Dr. Chun, your human brain showed adaptability to empathic input that we previously thought impossible. Dr. Velthani, your abilities have actually strengthened through this connection rather than being diminished. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. In the months since their trial, news of their success had spread throughout the galaxy. Many beings who had been considered defective by their species had begun asking questions about human emotional capabilities. More importantly, Speaker Thane said, your collaborative research has already produced medical breakthroughs that have helped thousands of beings across multiple worlds. This was true. Marcus and Zara's combined work had led to new treatments for emotional trauma, better understanding of interspecies psychology, and improved medical techniques that used empathic diagnosis. Their research station had become a destination for beings seeking help that no other facility could provide. Commander Vrex stood from his seat in the assembly. Speaker Thane, if I may address the council? You have the floor, Commander. 6 months ago, I believed Dr. Velthani was unsuitable for bonding due to her empathic condition, Vrex said. I was wrong. Her abilities, combined with human emotional intelligence, have created something remarkable. They don't just complement each other. They enhance each other's strengths. Dr. Velanara, the psychic examiner, also rose. The Council should know that we have received over 200 requests from beings across the galaxy seeking human partners. These are individuals who have been rejected by their own species for various emotional or empathic conditions. Marcus felt Zara's surprise and hope. Neither of them had expected their bonding to have such far-reaching effects. Dr. Chun, Speaker Thane said, as a representative of humanity. What do you say to those who claim your species is too emotionally primitive for such advanced interspecies relationships? Marcus stood, feeling the weight of representing not just himself, but all of humanity before the galaxy's governing body. Speaker Thane, respected council members, he began. I believe there's been a fundamental misunderstanding about human emotions. We're not primitive because we feel deeply. We're advanced because we've learned to use our emotions as tools for understanding, healing, and connecting with others. He gestured toward Zara. My bond with Zara has shown me that emotional strength isn't about controlling or suppressing feelings. It's about accepting them, understanding them, and using them to build bridges between different kinds of minds. Zara stood beside him. If I may add something, Speaker Thane, before I met Marcus, I believed my empathic abilities made me broken and unsuitable for any relationship. Human culture taught me that these same abilities are gifts that can heal and help others. Perhaps it's time for all of our species to reconsider what we call defects and what we call gifts. The assembly buzzed with conversation. In the gallery, Marcus noticed several beings who looked different from the typical representatives of their species. He realized these were probably the defective, individuals who had been inspired by his and Zara's success. A Zephyrian delegate stood. Dr. Chun, Dr. Velthani, what evidence do you have that human-alien partnerships can be successful beyond your own case? Zara smiled. We've been conducting relationship studies at our research station. So far, we've facilitated 17 successful partnerships between humans and beings from various species who were previously considered unbondable, Marcus added. We've also established the first interspecies emotional compatibility center. Our waiting list is over 500 applicants. Speaker Thane consulted with her fellow council members for several minutes before speaking again. After careful consideration and review of all evidence, the Galactic Council hereby grants formal recognition to the bonding of Dr. Marcus Chen and Dr. Zara Velthani. Furthermore, we approve the establishment of the Human-Alien Cultural Exchange Institute, with Dr. Chun and Dr. Velthani as co-directors. The assembly erupted in applause, though Marcus noticed some delegates looked less enthusiastic than others. Change was never easy, even when it was beneficial. As they left the council chambers, Marcus and Zara were approached by a young Andromedan female with unusual coloring that made her stand out from her species norm. Dr. Chun, Dr. Velthani, she said nervously. My name is Kira. I've been rejected by 17 potential mates because my emotions are too strong for Andromedan society. Do you really think a human might accept me? Zara knelt down to Kira's eye level. I think the right human would see your emotional depth as a wonderful gift. Would you like to visit our institute? Kira's eyes lit up with hope. Yes, please. As they walked through the council building, more beings approached them. A Centaurian male whose mathematical abilities were considered erratic because he incorporated emotional intuition into his calculations. A Caltherian female whose empathic range was even broader than Zara's. A Rigelian, whose artistic nature made him unsuitable for his culture's warrior traditions. Each one had been rejected by their own species for traits that humans might value. We're going to need a bigger institute, Marcus said to Zara as they finally reached their transport. We're going to need several institutes, Zara replied. This is just the beginning. On the journey back to their research station, Marcus and Zara reviewed requests from various worlds wanting to establish their own human-alien compatibility centers. Earth's government had contacted them about setting up exchange programs to bring defective aliens to human colonies where their traits might be appreciated. Do you ever regret it? Zara asked as they watched the stars stream past their ship's viewport. Leaving your purely human life to bond with an alien? Marcus felt her question through their empathic connection and understood the deeper worry behind it. She wondered if he missed being normal, being purely human. "Zara," he said, taking her hand, "bonding with you didn't make me less human. It made me more human. You've taught me to feel more deeply, understand more completely, and love more fully than I ever thought possible." Through their connection, Zara felt the truth in his words and the depth of his love for her. "Besides," Marcus continued with a smile, "normal is overrated. The galaxy is a big, strange, wonderful place full of different kinds of minds and hearts. Humans aren't meant to stay safely within our own species. We're meant to reach out, connect, and build bridges." Zara leaned against his shoulder. "The other species are still adjusting to the idea that humans are more than primitive beings who got lucky with space travel. They'll learn," Marcus said confidently, "when they see what we can accomplish together. When they see beings they gave up on finding happiness and success. They'll understand that emotional intelligence is just as important as any other kind of intelligence." Their transport docked at Research Station Kepler-442b, which had been expanded twice to accommodate the growing number of researchers and compatibility seekers. As they walked through the corridors, they saw something that would have been impossible a year ago. Humans and aliens worked side by side in the laboratories. In the common areas, mixed species couples talked and laughed together. The station hummed with the energy of beings who had found acceptance and love, despite being told they were unsuitable for such connections. "Marcus," Zara said as they entered their shared laboratory, "do you think we've started something that will change the galaxy?" Marcus looked around at their research, their home, and the new world they were building together. "I think we've reminded the galaxy of something it forgot," he replied. "That differences don't have to divide us. They can make us stronger, more complete, and more capable of understanding the universe we all share." Outside their window, ships from dozens of worlds arrived and departed, carrying beings who came seeking the kind of acceptance and love that had once seemed impossible. The galaxy was changing, one successful partnership at a time, and at the center of it all, a human man and an alien woman who had refused to accept that love had species boundaries continued their work, proving every day that the greatest strength in the universe was the ability to understand and accept each other's hearts.